Hey, welcome back to the BVB podcast. My name's Jacob, joined as always by Carver. How's it going, man? How you doing? How you holding up after your wrestling excursion last night?
That was great. That was great. There's a local wrestling club, professional, but a little bit amateur down the street from me that I've been going to recently, and it is such a hoot. It's so much fun. It's super cheap, great entertainment.
You're not
Um,
wrestling though. You're just
that's
watching it.
no. I'm trying to get in the ring one day though. I'm going to start training for that. I have to get in the ring. It's a good pick me up from the game on Saturday for Dortmund. Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. We've done this a couple times now where as we're recording on a Sunday afternoon. I kind of like this little afternoon thing. Maybe I'll just start leaving work early so we can start doing this more. No, but with the Holstein Kiel game coming up on Tuesday, which is kind of weird, and then we just want to get another episode out of the way before we got into that, especially coming out of. I mean, we did one episode in 2025, but getting an official like match episode in 2025. There's a bit more Dortmund news too. Not a lot on the signing front yet. Just it's kind of the rumors and in the talks, and it looks like there's a little more going on, and we'll see as the next days progress. Maybe there's news on by the time you're listening to this on Monday. As we always got to put that little stamp on there, like yeah, everything could be dated by the time you're listening to this, and we apologize for that. But no, it's fun recording on a Sunday. I was going to hit too, if you haven't already, and there's been a few people who have placed their order for our Carver's rocking it right now. If you're watching the video stream, our official, the BVB pod merch. We got a couple shirts, a black one and a white one, which are
the yellow one is not for sale actually, but
oh, is that? Oh, that's the exclusive one. We've worn way too much exclusive merch. I should just stop pushing it in. No, we got to, if you go to the bvbpodcast.com, our website, which you can find linked in this. I mean, pick yourself up a shirt if you want, free shipping on the shirt. And then there's a coffee mug too, or some stickers. But yeah, if you want to support the show, that's the best way to do it. Or just listen like you're doing right now, review, rate, all that stuff. We just appreciate you guys. But yeah, check out the bvbpodcast.com if you haven't already. Yeah, like I said, Holstein Kiel coming up on Tuesday. We got some transfer stories we're going to hit on a little bit. But first, Carver, we got to talk about Bayer Leverkusen. Starting 2025 with I mean, we hit, it's going to be a big match, right? It's one where we really wanted to come out strong and start the year strong. And I want to say like this is a good barometer, or I mean, maybe it is a test to start the 2025, really see if we're up for it. And unfortunately, after watching this game, I feel like we're not. And now I don't know. Like I wanted to be more hopeful going into the new year and think we can come out starting the second half of the season strong. And now I'm just like, oh man, especially giving up the goal so early. But yeah, tough one. Losing, I mean, we kind of came back a little bit. Second half was a little better, but ended up losing 3-2 to Leverkusen on Friday.
this club is full of uncertainty at the moment. Even though we did end 2024 on a high note, you're expecting some players to come back. You don't know what the lineup's going to look like. This is a very good, solid Leverkusen side, despite not having the best start to the season compared to their last season. But, you see the report that comes out the day before from Berger, and he was saying, pretty much all the backline except for Rierson are out, right? You had Benzabaini out with illness, with the flu hitting the team in general. Who else? Sula was out for his injury. Schlotterbeck was precautionary. So you had just Rierson, the only fit defensive player in this team that could actually go however long he could. And he's placed at a center back here. So this back line is destined to be conceding some goals. I was expecting to concede at least 2 or so, but it's a tough, very, very tough mountain to climb, going down 3 at home against this Leverkusen side. Yeah.
And with Rierson being the only, like Kuto was healthy, obviously, but Staten Rierson as like the primary starter. And also Rierson hasn't played in a while because he had that kind of illness or circulation problem that we
exactly
haven't really seen all the details from that. I'm glad that he's back because it was such a mystery what was going on. It sounded really bad. So I'm glad that he was able to come back. But still, he hasn't played in a while. We touched on the New Year episode too that the team didn't do any kind of friendly. They just, like a lot of clubs will take this break and have almost like a mini preseason, if you will, like go train in some warm weather for a few days, get a friendly match in. And Dortmund didn't do that, which I understand if you don't want to do extra travel, you just want to stay at home, but at least schedule some kind of match, like get your guys back up to match fitness. It's been a few weeks. And like we said, Rierson, it's been way longer since he's played. So I'm glad that he was actually able to play. I'm glad he was available. didn't look the best in the center back position, but I can't really blame him for that. But yeah, it was tough all around. But yeah, getting in the lineup, kind of already hit it. Kobel in goal. Meyer was another one who, not that he's the typical starter, but not seeing him on the lineup either. I was like, what's going on? Like he didn't make the travel squad. So clearly the flu, I mean, they said that the flu is going around. A lot of people taking a lot of people out, just isn't good. And so we had Kobel in goal, Kuto, our right back, Rierson and Lures, our two center backs, and Kabar getting the start on the left with Mecha, kind of that holding midfield position. And then we had Adeyemi on the wing, Gittens on the other wing, Bayer and Brandt a little more in the middle, and Girassi up top.
And Kabar was also ill. I forgot to mention him too, but I saw in the post-game comments that Shaheen said like they just had to bring him because they didn't really have anyone else at this point. So you had inexperienced, ill players, or the only senior player that was on this team was out of position. So again, it's very, makeshift doesn't really even do the justice for what this back line looked like. And you saw just 25 seconds into this game, we're already conceding. Although I do think, this goal falls at the hands of Kobel. His distribution this season has really taken a step back, and you get to really see that shine here in this, opening minutes. We're trying to play out of the back against a very high press of Leverkusen. They were in that 4-4-2. Again, with an inexperienced, out of position back line. You see in the replay after we concede, like the head-on angle, Kobel gets the ball, he's turning. Just clear the ball. You have Girassi straight ahead of you. If you can't somehow pick him out a pass there, which it is difficult, of course, whenever you're, again, under a high press, just try to clear it straight away. You have a target man up there. Girassi can maybe win a first ball, and if he can't, you have other players to swarm around to win for the second ball. But then he does what Kobel does, waits to invite pressure, and then he tries to play out of the back here by switching back to Rierson. Rierson now does not have the opportunity to actually get a foot in and try to get a clearance himself, so he also has to do the same things, turn, go even further out to the pitch line. And then now we're looking at Kuto, who's on his weak foot, off balance, can only really get a half clearance right into Leverkusen's hands, and then it was just poor defending from there. So it's just such an unnecessary position for Kobel and just the team to put ourselves in so early on against a team that's already of this quality with a back line of the quality that we had. It's astonishing.
Yeah, and on Leverkusen, quick, I know that I think people within the Bundesliga, if you pay close attention to the league in general, that they've obviously been a much better team. I think that this was their 10th. Was it their 10th win? And maybe they've just gone 10 games unbeaten. Maybe there's been a couple of draws in there, but they're on a really good run. They had a little bit of a slower start to the season, which you could probably attribute to a bit of a hangover after all the celebrations and the run they had last year, right? But they're into gear. They've kicked it into gear now, and I mean, they haven't slowed down. They had the same winter break we did, but they haven't slowed down at all. Luckily, they haven't got hit with the flu either. Maybe some of our guys, maybe Kabar, that's why you put Kabar in there, slip him up a little bit. I don't know.
Trying to get them sick. All right, Kabar, you got to really breathe heavy on them.
Not that it matters anymore. Not that it matters now.
We're hoping by halftime they start feeling some symptoms. No, I get it. Some 40 chest by Shaheen there. No, That's actually pretty sweet.
Leverkusen, what I'm just getting at, they're a really solid team. We have no backline. So I get if you want to be a team that wants to play out of the back. And I don't know, is this a Shaheen thing? Is it this Kobel? Is he just feels like it's something he wants to do? Luckily, we do have most of our front line and midfield is healthy. So like you said, why are we trying to play it out of the back when we have such a lack of experience in that back line? It's cool if that's the game plan when we're healthy, when we have center backs or fullbacks that we trust, that have that experience, that we know can maybe do that. But
even then though, this has been a problem that Kobel's been having, right? He uses the sole of his foot to just keep De Zerbi style and waits for pressure to come on. And then the pattern's gone. The rhythm in our build-up is gone. You had a split second where you did have an opening to one of the center halves or even out wide, but he just holds on to the ball that one, second too much. And then the pressure's already on, and we're just putting ourselves in more positions again. And Leverkusen, they've won 8 in a row, and you saw why they've been winning so many lately. Competitive matches 8 in a row, with just the effectiveness and their precision of how they do attack. Because again, we put ourselves in position for that first goal, but the shot was incredible.
Shot was great.
Yeah, and the second goal for them too, right? I mean, it's classic Leverkusen style under Alonso with some quick short passing. Everyone's closer together. You invite pressure onto their end, and then it's a quick ball in behind. lots of runs down the middle here that were not checked on whatsoever. I mean, Rierson, again, he just doesn't know how to really get goal side in those situations because he's the one usually going out to pressure. Yeah, the other center halves that are just not going to be able to, track the runs of Schick, whoever, or even Frimpong, and it's 2-0 early on. I did see in the post-game comments, weirdly enough, that the overarching theme from a lot of the players was like, at no point in this game did we ever feel like it was over. We just kept fighting. And you did see that in the body language of the players, despite, I had just my head in my hands. First 10 minutes, are you fucking kidding me? 20 seconds into the game.
First minute, I was pretty much like, well, maybe we want to turn this off right now.
I thought we were cooked. But yeah, the players, they fought their way back into this game. So, I mean, if there's a few of the positive takeaways you want to have from this game, it's got to be the grit from the players going to fight and get a result where you're only losing 1 goal, despite Leverkusen. They probably could have scored 4 or 5 in those first 20 or 25 minutes before they kind of switched off.
Yeah, and all I was trying to hit earlier is with the changes in the back line, I wish we were and I don't, like you said, that is on Kobel. In the moment, that is his decision to make. And that's where I don't know, is Shaheen really pushing to try to play out of the back? In this match, I don't care. One, if Shaheen is pushing it, you got to change your tactics because, just get it up to, I don't, playing long ball, we don't necessarily, it's not the prettiest style of football to play, just play long ball. But, sometimes you just got to change things up and for different matches and given the situation. And that's where I wish we could tactically tweak a little bit or make better decisions overall. But as you said, I mean, the positives, one, I do like the Gittens. We get the Gittens goal, obviously, so to where we're only 1 down, 12 minutes in. Of course, they score shortly after that to go 3-1 up. But in that moment, I have mixed feelings about this goal. One, there was decent buildup. Leading into it. And then I just wish the goal came from a deflected pass. And I just want it to be clean. I wish it was from start to finish, a fully clean play, nice passes. I'm glad he was able to finish it and get that. And the finish from Gittens was incredible too. It wasn't the typical Gittens goal we see, just banging it from outside, from wide, but nice little chip over the keeper on a really tight, crazy angle. I didn't even see the ball go in. It was hard to even tell watching on TV, if the ball went in or over the goal. But yeah, incredible finish.
Yeah, it was brilliant. I think we got to start winning more games on a consistent level before we can start talking about having better passes, because we're not even getting the results to get to that level yet. But I hear what you mean, though. It's still a lot of work to be done and to make it a bit more smooth. Yeah, you saw both teams really settle in a bit more after that 20-25 minutes. I mean, Leverkusen didn't attack as much, but also Dortmund started to kind of find their rhythm. Kobel coming up a bit more to form almost like a back three, kind of like what Bayern does at times at Neuer this season. And then if it wasn't that, Mecha kind of poking in a bit to form a diamond there too, to get a little bit more rhythm in the midfield. And you did get, us into good spaces as the game went on too, but you wish that we could have done a bit more with them. But I just wish we could have seen a bit more from those first 15 to 20 minutes against the ball. I know we eventually kept fighting back. We scored, but the pressing from that second goal from Leverkusen, I mean, there was little to none. You have a bird's eye view in the replay, and very few players actually come to press, and it's very easy for Leverkusen, again, in those short spaces and short passing rhythms to just play out of that, and that's exactly how they scored that second one.
Fast forward second half, there's a couple moments here or there. I think Adeyemi had a shot pretty quick into the half, but then right after that, Schick should have scored his hat trick. Kobel was able to get in front of that one. But it was kind of the same. It was kind of what you saw on the other Schick goals. Him open in the box, getting across there. Luckily, Kobel was able to get across the face of the goal to stop it.
And of course, too, I mean, Herdetsky pulls out the performance of his life out of his ass for this game too, right? There were a few great shots from Dortmund that somehow he got to, and a keeper of his stature, I was not expecting that. And then you had at the other end, like you mentioned, the Kobel goal that salvaged any chance of us staying in the game there. I think the set pieces really let us down in this game too. I mean, from beginning to end, even in the dying minutes when we had an opportunity to actually get a point out of this. I mean, every single corner that I saw from Brandt came not only too short, but barely even made it to the 6-yard box, I don't really know what he's going for there. I feel after you see that 3-4 times, it seems to be a bit more calculated. I don't know if the weather was affecting it that much, but just all of them were really, really poor, and no one even had a chance at getting any sort of touch on the ball to make it or keep it a dangerous play.
Do you want to talk about subs a little bit. And mainly, I mean, I was just going to jump to Durnville, but we see him to get that second goal, which ends up being a PK, but Durnville making his run into the box. I think it just benefited his height, or I guess his lack of height benefited us getting a PK here. Like clearly, I think it was Topsoba, right? Topsoba arm straight across, which you can't really do if Durnville was taller, it wouldn't have been hitting his face. It would have been in his chest, which I think that's how Topsoba is kind of defending. Not really what you're supposed to do, but I understand what he's doing, and we're kind of fortunate to get the PK, and Garci's able to bury it to give us a little more hope with about 10 plus minutes to go.
Yeah, it was really fortunate. I honestly was not banking on us getting that penalty, to be honest with you. I know it was like a hit in the face, but just from the angle, you could see like it right whenever it makes contact with Durnville, he's still looking at the ball and then kind of realizes like, I'm not going to get to this just because of the size and the distance between me, the ball, and the player. So that's when he kind of starts to go down. I understand him going down because he got hit in the face, but I mean, I also see the other side too of like he wasn't getting to that ball either way. And yeah, like you mentioned, the height was really what put him in that position to get it in the first place.
And then, I mean, anyone else coming in this match, like I know there's been a lot of talk about Sabitzer lately, and I mean, I can't even remember if he's been fully fit as of late, and maybe you kind of attribute that to being overplayed too, and the lack of rotation this whole squad has. We didn't even touch on it, but like Gross, who we've seen be able to play that right back position, or obviously in central mid, was out for yellow card. The red card. It was the red card. So he was out, wasn't an option, but we did see Sabitzer come into this match. We saw Reyna get some more minutes. Do you have anything on those guys specifically, or like did they help change the tide in your mind to?
I feel like they're pretty forgettable, unless there's something that I'm not remembering. But
no,
I don't really
that's
have
why
much
like
take away from the substitutions here. I mean, besides the penalty from Durnville, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't hit on it either because they didn't leave much of an impression. But I was like pretty let down by Bayer and Adeyemi too. Like I had a lot of hopes for Adeyemi, and obviously there's still time. This is game one, but a lot of hopes for Adeyemi to help us have a better 2025. And maybe it's a formation we're playing. Maybe it's I don't know.
We also played on the he played on the right. He
played on the right, opposed to the left.
But at the same time, Gittens is never going to play on the right. I think like just the left is kind of his lock. You know, Shaheen's going to have to figure out how he's going to work with two inverted wingers going forward, you know, if he's looking to play that way. And it looks like at the moment, I don't know how many people are going to be back by the time Tuesday rolls around. You could switch up the midfield a bit more. There are some more options there with the back line. I don't think there's much of any tweaking you can do. And I don't know if Bayer's going to be like a central attacking mid again or how we're going to line up there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll talk about Holstein Kiel, not Sebastian Kiel. We'll talk about both of them. But the latest I saw was like, as far as guys recovering in time, like it doesn't look like they're just not certain. So we don't know who's going to be back unless Gross is sick too. Like, is he back? Was he only suspended 2 matches? I don't remember. So at least that's an option in midfield to fill that out a little better. So you're not playing Bayer and Adeyemi. I don't know. Like from this match specifically, like I could see you dropping one of them to bring Gross in easily to just shore up that midfield a little more.
Right. The only other thing here was just some of the post-game comments. I mentioned some of the overarching themes, like Metra mentioned, you know, we wanted to keep going. Brandt also recognized or gave some recognition for just the grit that the guys had. And Shaheen mentioned the 3 goals conceded were far too easy at this level. I expect my boys to defend better. You could see what Leverkusen wanted, and what we wanted to have was our moments, and we kept getting into those spaces, but making up 3 goals against Leverkusen is not easy. I expect us to play better, but with the ball, it wasn't that bad. Do you have any takeaways from this comment, especially the last part here, just saying that the team didn't look that bad with the ball? I guess, yeah, with the personnel, at our disposal, you could say that's probably the best what we could have had. But yeah, those first 20 minutes were just the most concerning to me because Kobel continues to make that mistake, and Shaheen, I know, is aware of this fact, and I think there needs to be more emphasis on why Kobel is kind of the reason that we're conceding goals like that on a regular basis, or at least semi-regular basis.
Yeah, I understand. I guess I understand his comments, like even coming from the player perspective, like him coming off the pitch, analyzing how the game ended in his mind and being like, given the circumstances too, having virtually no back line, like I can see like, yeah, it wasn't that bad. Also from just how the whole season as a whole, I'm just like, every match just seems so bad. Like, I know we've had some good wins here and there, but everything feels so disjointed all the time. And I think it is because we have these back and forth, like we'll have a good match and the next match is just like utter chaos. And that's what this kind of felt like. I understand no backline. That is a big attributing factor. But yeah, to me, you just see the cracks. Like there's so many cracks and the whole team just seems disjointed. Like I don't know if you want to talk Brant at all. I saw in Reddit someone was saying Brant is kind of a scapegoat, like always takes the heat. And I know there has been a lot of heat on Brant. And what I come back to, I think even like URC, like people saying he's underperforming. And I'm like, who is performing though? Like I don't think you can point to anyone on the team. I'd say Mecha, if you just compared him to last year, yes,
it's all in shorter stints because Mecha hasn't even been, I think, like from start to finish of this season so far, he's been like at an elite level. He's definitely had like larger spells for sure. But I mean, yeah, it's just moments. Like Ben Zabaini has been solid, but he's also been missing for a little while too, and he's even had like little worse spells as well. So yeah, it's a good question. I'm not sure. I mean,
yeah, I just don't think anyone has been elite like by any means. I don't think you can put to.
I think you could probably put Girassi in there just because he's dragged us out of so many games with 3 points. But
Gittens too, but
yeah.
I don't know. It's just tough. Like I even hate to see. Like I understand that people don't like Brant, and that's fine. And of course, I'm a Brant boy, and I'm not going to just sit. I'm not going to go on a 10-minute tangent for the next few minutes. And hell yeah, oh my god, that hair is insane. If you're just listening on the podcast, Carver's drinking out of a very old Brant BVB cup. Oh man, that's awesome. But
this was only like a year or two old when I went there last time. I think they just had older cups that day.
That's awesome. I just don't see, like, I get if you want to hate on him, but like you got to hate on the whole team. Like no one's really doing it. So that's just my argument there. And I just hope we can get things figured out. And just looking ahead, we always say like the issue is lack of depth. We don't have enough defenders. Now it's very much in their faces. Like we've heard a couple times from the board that like, we're happy with the squad we have. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, and given the situation now, it almost blows my mind that they didn't realize this sooner and didn't have another center back coming in on January 1st. The only positive I can take is now it appears to be like some of the rumors and some of the talks now, it appears to be that they are looking at some center back options. All of them look to maybe be more of a loan deal. Like there's been some names who are definitely probably too expensive. There's been some names that are a little more out there. The one that seems a little more official is now, I think this just dropped today at Sunday as we're recording, Renato Veiga from Chelsea, who's a center back. He's been kind of playing left back for them, but I think he's primarily a center back. The thing from Fabrizio Romano and Patrick Berger is that Dortmund and Veiga have reached a verbal agreement, but there's no official green light from Chelsea yet. But it does appear all the links and rumors we've been seeing feels like the board is finally like, okay, maybe we need to get some center backs. And obviously we did sign one center back, Filippo Mane, who has already been one of our center backs, but we officially signed him to a first team contract, and we didn't see him in this match because he was also ill or injured. Like we haven't seen much minutes from him, but I mean, there's one, you can call it another center back, but like he's already kind of been in the squad. I'm just not officially on a first team contract. Back to Renato Veiga. Like do you have any first initial thoughts on him or the prospects of possibly actually getting another center back coming in?
I've never seen him play. Just on paper, he looks like could be a good utility and versatile player, playing as a center back, left back, and even at midfield in times. I don't have much to speak on him more than that, to be honest. So you get obviously why Dortmund would have the interest if the team is looking to use him in those exact same positions, because all three of them, this team is really desperate at the moment, and it's been like that for quite some time too. So, you have Sebastian Kehl with the recent contract extension as sporting director. And I really like Kehl. I like how passionate he is about the club. I like his vision of wanting more proven winners, the fighters and warriors in the team. However, the neglect for the departments in the squad has really, it's made the cracks worse for sure in this team in recent years, like you mentioned. And to where we get up in positions like this, it's not too uncommon where we have a completely makeshift backline. Like this is worse than a few years back whenever it was like Pongracic, Chan, Paslak, and Schultz. Like this is worse somehow. And that team, that was like a meme for quite some time. And it's just like a general lack of ambition that's not just Kale either. I mean, the problem of the general lack of ambition is definitely like a board-wide problem. and it lays also at the desk of Vatska, at least the desk of Ricken and co for sure. But I feel like, we're just too reliant on these, at times when we're looking at them, like more average Bundesliga players. We are still kind of uncertain with our youth system as well, of how we're trying to integrate some of these players. There's been some where I think the board might have had it right with like the likes of Paris Brunner, but there's also on the other end of the spectrum where we completely blew a really great opportunity in Tom Rota too. So, I'm still a little uncertain of how I feel about Kale really taking the ranks on some of this stuff, because the back line cannot continue to suffer like this, because the team is going to continue to suffer.
Man, that every match week, like the Tom Rota thing is just so, it's like, why did that happen? Because that we like clearly need another left back, and I've said it so many times, but even if you want Benzabaini to be the starting left back, like there's nothing wrong with a little competition. There's nothing wrong with a little rotation, especially when we're in Champions League and Bundesliga. And now, like, look what's happened. Like, it's just kind of been depleted in so many different ways. And we saw it. Like, we have no back line. We might not have a back line going in this next match. So they better get some stuff done.
Yeah. And I mean, Rota, he just fits what we need outside of position 2, right? I mean, he came from the youth system. He had Bundesliga 2 experience and thrived that season. He's got 4 goal contributions this year and doing pretty solid for Union Berlin so far. He's got a physical presence in him. He's got a lot to learn still too, but he's also only 20 years old. Completely blew that. And I still don't know how I feel about the Moukoko situation is either, but you could see like there's a lot of these like big names, or supposedly supposed to be big names, coming through the youth system these past 3, 4, 5 years. And a lot of them have left, whether it's the fault of the club or, the player. It's sad because, the youth system was such a core part of our identity, and a team already going through an identity crisis, and you add that to it. It's obviously not great for any sort of squad planning or anything like that.
Yeah. Just to kind of loop back to Renato Veiga, as you mentioned, from Chelsea. He's a Portuguese international, 21 years old. He's been playing primarily, like, I mean, if you haven't followed Chelsea, like, you've at least probably seen some of the memes and jokes, like how they had a 40-plus man squad, basically. They've definitely been narrowing that down and kind of getting people out and really fine-tuning things and getting things locked in. And that looks like maybe that's where Renato Veiga is now available. But they've had, if you haven't paid attention, they've had like 2 separate squads, one for the Premier League, one for the Europa Conference League, which is what they're in Europe. And like, you're on one squad or the other. You don't really play in the other one. And Renato Veiga has been playing in the Conference League. Like, I think he's been their primary starting left back in the Conference League and been putting in pretty good performances there, but it's not like he's playing in the Premier League week in, week out. Like, that's not the kind of player we're getting. He does have Bundesliga experience. He was at, I think it was Augsburg for a year before moving to FC Basel in the Swiss League, and then moving to Chelsea. So, I mean, there's not a ton of like big, I would say like big club experience with Augsburg. He only played 13 matches, then going to FC Basel, which is definitely kind of a step down. Of course, you get called up or brought into Chelsea, and then you're on that Conference League squad. Not to say like I hope he can come in and be the player we need, but when we say Chelsea, like, it's definitely not the Premier League starter. He's made the bench on quite a few occasions for Chelsea in the Premier League, but he's not like a starting Premier League center back.
Well, either way, right now he slots right into this team.
No,
it's
we have no center backs,
right, or left backs really. So it's all the good stuff. I mean, yeah, from what the reports I saw from Berger and other journalists here the past few weeks, it looks like the club is looking at a center back a left-footed center back who can also play left back. Remember Zagadou started as that years back too. I was a big Zagadou fan, but maybe looking at that role, and you would get why Veiga would fit that role for sure.
The only other, as we said, there were a few other like center backs that's kind of, the names have been popping up here and there. I don't put a lot of stock in all of them, like, because again, some of them have been way too expensive. It looks like Veiga could be a loan with the option to buy, which obviously makes it a little more doable. We talked about that before. Like, I'm hoping that Dortmund can do a few more of these. Like, we know, like, because they've said it multiple times, like, we don't have the finances to just bring players in. So if you can get sneaky or creative with some loan moves, I'm all for that. I don't want to have a loan move like Matson where I fall in love with him and he's amazing, and then we never see him again, because that would just break my heart.
That's just it, though, man. I mean, that is the number one thing that Dortmund fans say to each other. You cannot fall in love with a lone player here. It's just it's not going to happen.
I try not to, but Matson was something. He was something special. But at this point, it's just about surviving, right? It's just about getting to the end of the season. And then there's been quite a few names in the central midfield, kind of are looking at that 8 position. The latest on that, and maybe more serious one, like James McAtee was from Man City. We kind of touched on him. There was this little shot for, he's kind of more of a 10, can play on the right wing, but Harvey Elliott at Liverpool, I don't actually see him leaving Liverpool anytime soon. But another Chelsea, I think also 21 or fairly younger, is Carney Chukwuemeka, and I apologize for any pronunciations that I'm going to butcher, but another central midfield option. I wish it would just be, we were only linked with center backs and maybe left backs or full backs. Like, I guess I understand if they're looking for more central midfield players when you look at just profiles of, yes, Sabitzer is getting older. There's definitely been a drop off this season. Gross he's been good, but he is also significantly older too. Like, I understand, like, I nothing wrong with wanting to build for the future too. But like, we have so many holes that we need to fill literally right now. And I don't think a central midfielder is what we need right now in this moment, unless they're actually like, they don't see as much from Brandt or Reyna, and they really need someone to fill that role. But like, there's so much fixing we need to do right now, and I just don't know if CM is what we need.
We are the never-ending transition phase of a club, which is really annoying. And Emre Can too, right? He was starting as captain as this year, and now it's like we probably won't see him much at all, unless we're running into another game like this where we later have literally no one to play in the back line, or even as at 6 if something happens to Mecha. So there's going to be a lot of exits and a lot of departures and a lot of arrivals too this summer. So I'm excited for the business because, again, we got to get a lot of these players like Sula too. I mean, he's one of the biggest people on the payroll, and this was going to be a year where he wanted to prove himself. I wanted to see him prove himself, and he's had better moments for sure. But this is also this is year 3 with him now, and he has been, for the most part, very, very disappointing. And now with the injury, it's going to be another setback. So I think they should be looking at options for maybe getting him, even though he probably doesn't want to leave with his salary. If we can find a suitable offer for him, there needs to be some good, smart moves here so we don't have to constantly be stuck in this mess every goddamn January.
So the other bit of transfer news, like this was official, this actually happened, is Sebastian Haller. I don't know if we hit on it last time, but it looked like he had not been getting any minutes, like hardly at all, with Leganés in La Liga. Again, pronunciation, I'm sorry. But that loan was officially terminated, and then very quickly he moved to his old club, FC Utrecht, in the Eredivisie. He actually played, as we were recording Sunday, played this morning, Utrecht versus Feyenoord, and I did wake up this morning and watch this match. It was so cool to see him on the lineup. He came in the 60th minute, so he got 30 minutes in. They scored 2 minutes after he subbed on a corner kick. He did not get the header, unfortunately, but I'm sure he caused a little chaos in there. But on the second goal, Utrecht scored 5 minutes after that, and he kind of had the pre-assist to set up this. Like, he set up that goal. It was really cool to just see him. Like, we've talked about it a lot. Like, I just want him to be successful. Like, I don't see him getting form back and coming to Dortmund. They gave away his number to Girassi. Like, he's not coming back. I'm just happy for him on like a personal level, and it was cool to see him perform and make a really big impact in a match, especially after hearing how terrible his previous loan was. So for him to, like, I think they announced him on Friday, and then he's playing and making a big impact in a match on Sunday morning. It was awesome.
Yeah, I'm hoping he can get like double digits with goal contributions this second half of the season. That would be really cool to see. And it's, again, I say it all the time, it's just such a shame that he's not going to, I mean, very, very likely, we don't know for sure, but very, very likely not going to come back and have any sort of role in this team because he's only 30 years old. I mean, he's still, if he wanted to, of course, he still could have a few years ahead of him at a pretty elite level. But if he wants to, take this time to just bang in some goals, get some confidence at a former club, I'm all for it too. I'm happy for him. And then he could take that club to maybe some heights here in the Dutch league. That'd be really cool.
I think they're already sitting in third. They're kind of like overperforming for where they typically sit. So they're actually competing for some of those top spots in the Dutch league, which is cool for Haller. I'll just leave it at cool for Haller.
Especially with the big like Ajax fall off this year too.
Yeah, Ajax, PSV, Feyenoord up there. But yeah, so that is an official bit of transfer business that moved real quick and already making a big impact. The other bit of news, Malen. I know there's been all these conversations between Dortmund and Aston Villa. Again, maybe Villa announced him Monday morning by the time you're listening to this, so apologies, but it does look like I think their first bid for Malen was quite a bit off what Dortmund were asking, and now it seems like those numbers are getting a little closer, or definitely closer to what Dortmund wants. No final agreement yet as of recording, but it looks like that's probably going to happen this January.
I think the first bid was 18 million euros, if I'm not wrong, and then it went up to 25. That's what I think I saw Berger report here, but then the club is still trying to demand 30 because they're getting a loss on the player already. And yeah, if they wanted to go lower than 25 or even at 25, it's probably a bigger loss than what they were planning on by any means. And of course, you want to try to put as much funds of that back possible back into the squad for this winter. So bye Malen. I mean, I wish you've had some great moments for sure. I'll talk a bit more about him in depth if he leaves, but yeah, have fun in England. Have fun riding the bench.
Man, yeah, I don't know. I still think maybe we need to bring someone in to another winger to kind of fill that role, because I think I don't want to just be out another body. That's all I want. I just want bodies. We don't have enough, and we need them. So I would be curious.
Baby.
I will leave this up to you, the listeners. Drop a comment on YouTube if you're watching there, or on Spotify. You can kind of leave in that little question box. You can let us know like what wingers or what other like positions or specific players, whether it's center back, left back, central midfield. Is there one of these eights that you are a little more high on, or like another winger that we haven't really been linked to anyone as a Malen replacement? But if there's anyone you got an eye on, anyone you've picked up in FIFA that you think should come to Dortmund. That was one of my comments in the Discord when the Renato Veiga stuff came through. Someone's like, I signed him in FIFA. He was pretty good. So done. Get him in. No, any names you have on your radar, let us know in the comments, or just hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. No, we're not on Facebook. That was just Instagram and Twitter.
Thinking about your city socials.
Yeah. All the socials. Give the plugs. Do the things. Like, subscribe, follow. No, and I mean, that's kind of all the transfer news that we have right now. It might be more Monday morning. Dortmund away at Holstein Kiel coming up on this Tuesday. As you said, we ended 2024 finally getting an away win. We start 2025 with our first Bundesliga home loss. So it's all about balance, right?
Yeah. We don't have to overanalyze this game, right? It's Holstein Kiel, for God's sake. It's arguably the best opportunity all season to get 3 points on the road. I know our squad is completely depleted at the moment, so you could say like, oh, maybe another opposition when we have more players, but hopefully we can have one or two back, at least in that back line, so Rierson can get to a natural position, and then we have a senior center half in that middle of the park here. Yeah, Kiel's tied for lowest points in the league. Their only result against even a half-decent team this season has just been a point against Leverkusen, of all teams, actually, in the Bundesliga.
We're cooked.
Yeah, probably, honestly. But I don't know. It's simple, right? I know there are no easy games in the Bundesliga, but this has got to be a time where we get 3 points on the road. If we cannot do that against Holstein Kiel, for God's sake, I don't know if we deserve to be even the top four.
It'll be interesting. It's hard to have confidence with the back line. Again, our front line is healthy, so you just get the ball up to them, and hopefully they can bang in a few goals. And even if we let a few in our goal, like if we bang in enough, we can win. That's all you got to do to win, is score more goals. So hopefully we can do that. It is away. That worries me. We don't have a back line. That worries me. Dortmund currently 8th, 25 points. Yeah, I don't know. Top 4 is RB Leipzig with 30 points. Things just are interesting. And after this,
a little grim.
This will be the official halfway point to the season. I know there's the winter break. Yeah. We have some time off, but this is the last team in the Bundesliga we have yet to play before we start back with Eintracht Frankfurt after that.
Who's been really falling off the past month or so. I mean, they had a horrible December. Frankfurt, they did not have any. Oh, they had one win on December 1st against Heidenheim. Other than that, they took 4 losses in December. And then just recently a 1-0 against St. Pauli. So good time to catch them. If we can recoup any sort of reinforcements and form, that would be a great opportunity to get some 3 points against Frankfurt and do the double against them.
And Omar Mamouche might be gone by that point too.
Oh, yeah. It's true.
No, I mean, I think that's all we got for this episode. Carver, you got anything else?
No, thank you all for listening as always.
Yeah, appreciate you guys hanging out, listening. Hey, Holstein Kiel on Tuesday, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.